Hello, hi. So we asked three future Northern leaders, current Northern leaders as well, to provide a short manifesto sharing their vision to support and develop talent in the North for the future. So without further ado, we're going to get started, but we are going to do, for a little bit of fun, a vote at the end. And we want to hear from you, which of these three manifestos should we champion on the Media Leader directly after this show? We're going to put up an article on the Media Leader talking about it. So we'll do a little vote and we'll show you a QR code at the end. So it should be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to hear these quick fire manifestos. We're going to start with the brilliant Francesca, who's part of our Future 100 Club. She's Business Director of Digital Strategy and Innovation at Republic of Media. After you.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Frankie. I'm the Digital Business Director at Republic of Media, based out of our Edinburgh office. Before I kick off with my manifesto, I did just want to address a bit of an elephant in the room for myself when I was asked to do this manifesto, because I am based in Scotland, but when we talk about the North, we do typically talk about the north of England, but there is a whole other north to the north in the form of a full country, which is Scotland, and we do have a thriving media and marketing industry in Scotland, so I'm really passionate about that, and I really want to make sure we're promoting that as well. But as Mark was saying in the previous presentation, I'm really just talking about anything outside of London when I'm talking you through this manifesto. So for nurturing the talent of the North, I really have 5 key principles to talk you through today. And I'm going to do that through the lens of Severance for no other reason than I'm hoping there's some Severance fans in the room that will give me some votes. And also there's some really nice gifts that tie in with my principles. So I just thought it would work really well. So my first principle is all about evolving with the times. So we know at every conference we go to that AI is a buzzword, where we're hearing earlier all about attention. And there's lots happening within the media industry in terms of innovation and ad tech. But in many ways, we're similar to Severance in that we have lots of tech going on, and we are evolving. If you've not seen the show, they have this bit of tech that basically severs your brain so that you're split into two. There's a part of you that goes to work, and then there's a part of you at home that has no idea what you do at work, and the self at work has no idea what you do at home. But when you're in the office, it's kind of this very retro aesthetic, looks very 70s, so even though it's a very high-tech company, they're still operating in some very old-school ways. Now for the media industry, if I was someone leaving school or a new graduate looking to start in a new industry and doing a bit of a Google, we've not got a good name for ourselves at the moment. There's a lot of chat around AI taking our jobs. Even in the previous presentation, there was talk about Mark Zuckerberg and saying he was going to automate the full advertising experience on Meta, and that robots were going to take a lot of media planners' jobs. So if I was a young person looking to get into the industry, and I came to that talk, I'd be like, probably not the greatest industry to get into, but we are doing a lot in the innovation space. There is a lot going on around ad tech, attention, as I mentioned, so we really need to be doing a bit of a PR job about the ways in which we are innovating. And we do also need to be supporting the young talent coming through and actually training them in AI tools and systems, rather than relying on, as I've heard in many situations, people say, Gen Z will teach us about AI, but it needs to be the other way around. If they're coming into a new business, they want to be nurtured and developed. They don't want to teach you how to do something. So there's a massive marketing job for us to do about our industry so that we can kind of put an end to the fear-mongering that's going on. And I've just popped at the end there, top 10 fastest growing industries in the UK, because this is what the kind of things that people will be looking at when they're looking for a new job. And if we do have these growing industries, we have a job to help support that as well. So there's still very much a job to be done in the media industry. We just have a bit of PR to do. Next element of my manifesto is delivering policies that matter to young talent. Again, a theme today has been around Gen Z coming up through into the industry and how do we nurture them. And we know that they care a lot about different things than, say, millennials or Gen Xers or boomers. And in 2025, 27% of the workforce are actually comprised of Gen Z. So we need to make sure that we're innovating, creating policies that they actually care about. Otherwise, they're just going to leave our industry for either other industries or other roles. And some policies that they massively care about are flexible work. I think historically, people have really thought that flexible work was for parents, for example, so leaving work early to do the school run. But actually, people care about flexible work, even if they don't have kids. They might want to take 2 hours in the middle of the day to do a gym class, for example. So we need to make sure we're offering policies that support this. Mental health awareness, again, I think there's a lot of chat at these kind of events around mental health. There's always tons of panels going on. But what are we actually doing for mental health when push comes to shove? When people reach burnout, are we supporting them, or are we just letting them leave the industry? Tech savviness, I've kind of already touched on, but there's those memes that you see of like, oh, I just taught someone that earns double my salary how to convert a document into a PDF. We need to make sure that as we grow up within our own businesses that we are keeping in touch with what's happening in terms of tech. Again, in the last presentation, they were talking about attention and how more senior people in the business don't know how to set up a campaign for attention, so therefore not passing down that knowledge to junior staff. So you really need to make sure you're keeping up to date with the tech. Work-life balance I'll come on to, but that's a huge part of the ethos for Gen Z and what drives them to choose a job. And then lastly is an interesting one, but access to live events. I think we do this really well as an industry. I know in my first week at Republic of Media, I got taken to see Cirque du Soleil, and I could not believe that I got to go to an event for free like that. And ever since then, I've been to tons of concerts, I've been abroad for conferences. There's tons of perks like that within the industry, so we really need to be promoting that when we're celebrating and kind of promoting new roles within the industry as well. Next up is introduce, mentor, and celebrate. This is one of the closest ones to my heart, and it is in 3 kind of key parts. So introduce for me is really about how do we inspire the next generation. So not just people at university, but people at schools. There's always chat. Whenever you're talking to people in media, they always say, before I got a job in media, I had no idea that the industry existed. So there's still a massive job to be done about promoting our own industry, and there's a few ways to do that. I've pulled out a couple, but advertising unlocked with the IPA is a nationwide scheme. So you can partner your business with a local school. They'll come into your office on the same day every year. It's in November, and it's basically an opportunity for you to do workshops, presentations on the advertising industry. I know there's also the Upriser initiative in Manchester, which got spoken about at an earlier panel. Again, it's about partnering with a local school to raise awareness of our industry and really inspire the next generation. Career Ready is a great social mobility charity. I've worked with them before. It basically partners professionals within your business with a school pupil from an underprivileged school. And then you mentor them for 2 years and also offer them an internship at your agency as well. So that's about introducing people to the industry, but once they're in, we really need to make sure that we're mentoring them, nurturing them, and there's lots going on in the industry to do that as well. Bloom North I picked out. We also have Bloom in Scotland for mentoring young women in the industry. Marketing Society, there's a hub in London, but there's also a hub in Scotland. There's 3,000 people worldwide within the Marketing Society, but within Scotland there's actually 900. So we're massively punching above our weight in Scotland. We have a great network there. Again, tons of mentorship opportunities there and kind of speaking opportunities for young people in the industry. And then lastly, celebrate. Tons of awards, programs within the industry, whether they're based in London, Manchester, Edinburgh. So just make sure you're celebrating your young talent and nominating them for awards and really, celebrating them. Improve quality of life. When I've been speaking to people about this topic, people that have moved from London back home to Manchester or Edinburgh, one of the biggest reasons that they move back home is to improve their quality of life. This is a horrible visual slide, but there are some numbers I want to pull out. So the reason I picked 2017 is that's when I started in the industry. So a starting salary then was $17,500, but my rent was only £365. Now the starting salary is $23,600, but rent is £820. So that's an 8-year increase of 125%. So people in Edinburgh, if they're starting out in the industry, are spending 48% of their salary on rent. I think we've always compared ourselves to London and said, like, the cost of living is much greater here, but as we nurture people and bring them and make them stay, the cost of living is only going to go up. So what are we doing as businesses to improve quality of life? That could be things like free bus passes, free lunches, free gym memberships, anything that you can do to help people improve their quality of life that isn't necessarily an increase in salary if you're unable to do that. And then lastly, just inviting you to be the protagonist in this story. Everyone in this room has influence. I hope you all can go back to your offices today and kind of take one thing away, whether that's like, what are we doing around AI? What are we doing to support schools? How are we celebrating our staff? And what workplace benefits do we have? So yeah, please take action after this presentation.
That's brilliant, thank you. So our next presentation is coming from executive coach Lisa Hughes.
Here I am with my paper notes. Really should have Gen Z'd it, shouldn't I, and whacked them actually in the presentation. How's it going? Clicker would be good. Let me just have a drink of water. I'm wrong. Should have brought a bottle of water with me too. Just watch as I open this. Just chat myself. Right, okay, I'll put this on the floor. So, when I was thinking about developing the talent of the future, I thought, you know what, I need to ask some other experts, right? So, I asked people like the HR director for Publicis, I asked the learning development growth for the biggest low-code software company in the world, which is Mendex, and then I asked the growth lead for UClan, as well as people that run like development and growth businesses for people. And we came up with this. These are the things that we think emerging talent need for the future. So nothing groundbreaking, you've probably seen all this before, but I wanted to pick a couple out today. I wanted to talk about transparency, which is connected to trust and communication, and I wanted to talk about decision making, which is all about giving people the opportunity to make a change. So hands up in this room if you think you can make a change in your business. Ooh, loads. Okay, so people actually do want to do some good stuff in business. So this is why it's really important that we give people the means to create real change, not an illusion that they can make a difference. Because we're all told, right, be innovative, bring an idea, do something different, and then we're always stopped at the last hurdle. We want fresh perspectives, but we will reject the idea if it doesn't fit with our existing process. You're a future leader of this company, but you can't attend the senior leadership team strategy meetings. Think differently, bring new ideas. But then here's the exact brand guidelines you must follow. And we want innovation, but anything under 10k is going to need approval from the manager. Do these feel familiar? So this is it. When we're talking about emerging talent, what they want is the ability to make a difference. They come to work to do things, whether that's change internal processes, whether it's, improve customer experience or change something in the industry. And if we're talking about Gen Z, this word's been thrown around loads today. Gen Z, we have to meet them where they are. We can't help Gen Zs in the same way we treated previous generations. The tell and command approach is dead. What it's all about now for emerging talent is they want autonomy, they want collaboration, they want feedback. They understand that decentralized decision making is the way forward. So how do we do that? We allow time for innovation and protect it. Who in this room has innovation time built into their weeks? Hands up. Ooh, one person. Wow. So we need to build it into our weeks, our months, whatever, and we need to protect that time. When we do have these working groups of people together that are doing the innovation, thinking about the ideas, we need to make sure those rooms are diverse. Project management training. It's one thing going, right, let's get in a room, who's done that before, let's get in a room, this is what we need to do. Great, sound. Let's do it, but then we've no idea how to do it. We don't have the project management skills training. Plus, it's not necessarily our jobs, we're not project managers, but if we give people those skills, we're setting them up for success. And encourage people to make empowered decisions and back them. If you're an authority position in this room, give people the empowerment to make a decision, and then stand by them, back them up, let them move with that decision. If you create these innovative spaces, project groups where people can work together, they are going to learn throughout that all of the leadership skills they'll ever need for the future. The second area I wanted to cover today is transparency. It will always be your competitive advantage. Who here, well actually, if you think about the last decision that was made in your company, did you know the what was happening as well as the why? So if I think back to my career, I worked in radio, and when they changed Ofcom rules, it meant that they could reduce local broadcasting, right? So when they said to us in the business, we're going to reduce the number of local broadcasting shows, which means, there's going to be redundancy processes, I knew what was happening, but no one said to me why. Why are we reducing those shows? Why are we choosing the national model? I could guess, save money, put bigger talent on air, but no one ever said to me, here's why we're doing this, Lisa, which made it really hard for me to get behind it. The reason we need the why, Simon Sinek wrote about it in his book, It Starts With Why, right? This is why. Not only does, when people make a change, the why tap into our limbic system, which is the part of the brain where we process emotions. So we're processing emotions like trust, as well as fear and anxiety, if anyone watches movies. I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to use that. Just pretend you didn't see that. But yeah, so we have to consider the why is tapping into my emotional response here. I need to understand that I can trust this decision and get behind it. So, when we think about the trust and the fear and the anxiety that it poses on people, this is how we know when things just don't feel right, which is why in your business, understanding the why, you're more likely to get behind it. So what do we do instead? When you're transparent, it allows people a deeper person understanding behind the decision. So it means that we're no longer just following orders, we're contributing something meaningful. It's about engagement and retention. We don't just get out there in the morning for pay. We don't. You went to college, and you studied your art, and you studied your profession because you believe in the company, the product, or the service. It helps build trust and relationships. People will be more agile and work at pace if they feel safe enough to take risks. And we all have heard about psychological safety. If amongst us we've got transparency, we'll take more risks. And innovation and ownership. With innovation, you need ownership. So like I just spoke about, if we've got project groups where people are innovating and then bringing them ideas to life, they're going through a whole project, which by the way, takes ages. This is not a quick process. Then they're gonna get behind that and own it if they understand how it connects to the bigger picture. The final thing I want to leave you with today is opening doors. Who here has had a door opened for them in their career at some point? Loads of you. If you think back, when that door was opened for you, did it connect to being transparent, having an amazing relationship with someone? Did someone back a decision you were making? Was it an idea that someone's like, I'm going to get behind you, we're going to do that together? So have a think about that. For those that put a hand up, or if you didn't put your hand up, who can commit here today to opening a door for someone else in the next 6 months? Nice, you're now part of the solution. So giving people the ability to make a change, using transparency, open doors for people, and that's how you're going to support emerging talent of the future. In fact, can you just take the doors off the hinges? Just leave them fucking open for everyone, because we just got to stop shutting doors on people. I'm Lisa, thanks for listening. If you want to connect with me.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to our third and final presentation. I'm going to let you take it away. Please put your hands together.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about a vision that I've put together, my manifesto for the future of talent within the creative media industry. My name is Firoz Bhaiyat. I work for University Academy 92, a pretty cool partnership between the class of 92 and Lancaster University. The class of 92, the ex-Manchester United legends, so any Manchester United fans in here, remember that when you're voting. If If you're not a Red fan, please don't let that influence you when you're voting. So what is the call to action here for Media's Futures? We've heard a few talks today about the north of England, the move away from it being a London-centric industry, a sector, and what we've seen is that it no longer just belongs to the south or to London. There is a lot of movement outside. In actuality, over 60% of jobs within advertising and marketing are now based outside the capital. And for a lot of people, anything outside London is the north. And a UK Parliament study basically shows that there are 2.4 million people that work in the UK creative industries. I want you to think about two things today, and maybe take that away from today, is one, for anyone that likes data or stats, that over 70% of people that start their journey within creative media industries come with a graduate job, a graduate degree. So they come from university, they have a degree, and there's over 70% of them. Compare that to other sectors, that's just under 50%. So a lot of people that are working within creative media industries come through formal university education. That's one thing. For anyone that doesn't like numbers and likes to think about experiences, think about yourselves or someone you've hired or recruited. How many times have you hired someone, or you've been that person that excelled in education, that got the first, that got the 2-1, but when you landed that job, you were frightened. You're like, shit, I don't know how to apply the theory I learned. And this is why it's really important that industry and education unite together. They come together so that we can fully unlock the potential of the next generation. Education needs to be revolutionized, and we are seeing this around us. Higher education, the sector is recognizing this, and the only way this can be done is by industry leaders and universities coming together, not somewhere in the final year as part of a final module, but on day one, the first day when a university thinks, you know what, I want to launch a degree in something, I want to create a module in something, the people in this room should be in that room talking to those academics and saying, this is what's innovation right now. This is what's trending. This is what's happening. This is what's upcoming. And this is what we require of talent in the future. So what is the gap that we see within the sector when we are hiring graduates, or maybe what you're experiencing when you've come into the sector? A global study that focused on 60 other research papers, and I've done what the academic thing to do here is go and look at the research and come back and present that to you, identified themes that came out from employers that were saying, when we recruit graduates or when we work with individuals, young people, the most common thing that we see as a gap, they've not talked about technical skills there. They've talked about collaboration, communication, and data analysis. And this is back from 2022, and since then, we see that the digital revolution's kind of kick-started a number of different things. The unspoken word today has been spoken. AI is changing the way people work, students learn, but also how the sector moves forward. So we face a nice opportunity where we can influence and inform how these skills are developed. What is it that industry today is demanding? And one of the things that is a huge criticism of higher education is it's always worked on the past. So it's always lagged behind where sector is and where the industry is. And this is where industry can really help. You can bring that in and come and tell the universities and higher education providers, or even FE colleges, that these are the gaps that we face when we are recruiting, that these are the gaps that we need from our employees, from our talent, when we are trying to create our workforce. I'm going to mention another stat here. So this morning I was reading around this, and a number of different creative media industry individuals have stated that over 50% of innovation ideas have been put aside because they don't have the right talent internally to go ahead with those ideas. So innovation isn't taking place. Over 50% of ideas that you're coming up with, we are not able to go through with them internally because we don't have the right people to take that forward. And over 40% of them are saying that we then outsource that because internally we don't have that talent. And this comes down to things like presentations and sales skills, not things like, creating a website. And we've talked about theory versus application. Another study that's more closer to home talks about gaps, a number of different positions that are not filled, that 67.8% of those positions are down to skills and knowledge for the role. But within that study, they also talk about other things, other skills that are lacking within individuals that join the industry. 54% talk about problem-solving skills, 53% talk about innovative thinking, 50% talk about knowledge of the products and services, so that's where the technical skills come in, and 46% say advanced and specialist IT skills. So as much as people are talking about technical skills, they're also referring to the softer skills or the employability skills or life skills. So our challenge here is we need to redesign media education so that diverse, digitally savvy and work-ready talent can flourish everywhere. So what's the solution? So the solution is that industry and education come together, they co-design curriculum, provide practical learning opportunities and mutual knowledge and exchange. And I'm going to finish with these 4 pillars. These are my 4 pillars that I am saying as part of my manifesto vision for a grander future, a better future for the talent in and around Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle, wherever, is join those education providers to create curriculum together. The society we serve is very diverse. Make sure that the talent you're recruiting in the future is as diverse. Lead with commitment, that is leaders in organizations, create meaningful contracts, agreements with higher education leaders. And finally, provide mentorship opportunities. As someone said, be the one that's opening the door for someone, provide those live project opportunities, provide internships, and we also heard someone talk about apprenticeships today. Thank you so much for today, and I look forward to seeing who wins today. Thank you.